For those of us who have watched this show since the 90s, the absolute devastation heading our way is a direct slap in the face to the legacy of our favorite families, because Scout is about to accidentally slaughter her own father, Drew, and his new partner in crime, Willow, in a desperate bid for survival. If you ask me, we have seen some jaw-dropping twists over the years, from the darkest days of the island villains to the most shocking resurrections, but nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepares you for the bloodbath that is about to unfold. We have watched these characters grow, we have rooted for their redemptions, and we have held on to the hope that family bonds could survive the darkest of betrayals. But the writers are about to cross a line that will wreak devastation on our beloved town forever. The door is officially slammed shut on any happy endings, and if you are still holding out hope that Drew can be saved from his own wicked ambitions, I am here to tell you to prepare for a brutal heartbreak. Right now, the landscape of the town is an absolute, unmitigated disaster area, and our legacy characters are paying the ultimate price. We have Nina spiraling so far out of control that she literally pushed Drew and his wheelchair into the freezing lake, leaving him to drown until Giovanni played the ultimate hero. We have Willow playing her sickeningly sweet, saintly congresswoman act, while secretly panicking because Brooklyn has brilliantly framed her for Jordan and the horrific hit-and-run accident. And let us not forget the long-buried secret involving Jack, the intelligence agency, and the blackmail leverage that has everyone by the throat. It is a ticking powder keg, ladies, and the match has just been lit. Into this chaotic nightmare steps a newly aged-up Scout. After surviving the harrowing ordeal of being held captive by her own father, Scout returned to us looking older, wiser, and carrying the heavy burden of a shattered childhood. You would think that Drew, surviving his near-death experience in the freezing waters of the lake, would be the massive wake-up call this broken family desperately needed. Scout certainly thought so. She held on to that fragile, innocent hope that her father would finally change his ways, that he would look at his life, look at his beautiful daughter, and step back from the edge of the criminal abyss. She wanted the hero she used to love, not the monster he was rapidly becoming. But all of Scout's hopes are about to be violently crushed into absolute dust. Instead of finding redemption and seeking forgiveness, Drew is doubling down on his darkness. Scout is going to accidentally stumble upon a secret clandestine meeting, and what she witnesses will chill her to the very bone. She will see her father, Drew, secretly shaking hands and forming a sinister, unbreakable alliance with none other than Willow. Yes, you heard me right, guys. After everything they have been through, after the blackmail, the paralytic drugs, and the absolute betrayal, Drew and Willow are joining forces. Their target? Their own family members, and absolutely anyone else foolish enough to stand in their way. But that's not even the craziest part. If you ask me, this unholy alliance between Drew and Willow is the most toxic, dangerous partnership we have seen on our screens in decades. Willow is backed into a terrifying corner, terrified of losing her precious children to Michael, terrified of going to a cold prison cell for a hit-and-run she didn't commit, and desperate for absolute power. Drew, on the other hand, is fueled by a deep, venomous, and uncontrollable resentment. He might have yielded to Jack and the blackmail on the surface, but underneath that fake compliance, he is plotting a hostile takeover of epic proportions. Together, they are a lethal, unstoppable combination. They know each other's darkest, long-buried secret, and they are willing to burn the entire town to the ground to get exactly what they want. Watching from the shadows, terrified and heartbroken, Scout is going to realize the horrifying truth about the man who raised her. Her father isn't a tragic victim of circumstance. He is the willing architect of his own villainy, and Willow is his eager, malicious accomplice. Scout knows deep in her soul that if she stays silent, innocent people are going to pay the ultimate bloody price. Her family will be destroyed, lives will be ruined, and the endless cycle of violence will never, ever stop. This young girl, who has already endured so much trauma and pain, is forced to carry the weight of the entire world on her fragile shoulders. She realizes that true love sometimes means doing the hardest, most painful thing imaginable. In a moment that will absolutely shatter our hearts into a million pieces, Scout makes the most agonizing decision of her young life. She isn't going to cover for her father anymore. She isn't going to look the other way while he and Willow plot their malicious, greedy schemes. Instead, Scout decides to play a highly dangerous game of cat and mouse. She resolves to secretly gather hard, undeniable evidence of their crimes, the embezzlement, the vicious blackmail, the plots against their own blood, and hand it all over to Anna and the police department. In Scout's desperate, loving heart, she believes that sending her father to a maximum security prison is the only way to save his soul and stop the absolute madness. But that's not even the craziest part. Scout's transformation from a traumatized, weeping victim into a brave, undercover investigator is going to be a jaw-dropping twist to watch unfold. She starts sneaking into Drew's private, encrypted files, hacking into secure laptops, and listening at locked doors in the dead of night. She uncovers the digital trail of Jack and his blackmail material, the missing black box details, and the sickening, fathomless depths of Willow's hypocrisy. Every single piece of evidence she gathers is another heavy nail in the coffin for Drew and Willow's master plan. But Scout is playing with a deadly fire, and she is drastically underestimating the sheer paranoia and utter ruthlessness of the people she is investigating. Drew and Willow are not fools, ladies. They are seasoned, cold-blooded manipulators, and it doesn't take long for them to notice that things are slightly out of place. A missing financial file here, a deleted email there, a fleeting shadow in the hallway. The dark paranoia begins to set in, turning them against each other for a brief moment before they finally realize the horrifying, undeniable truth: the mole is inside the house. When Drew discovers that his own flesh and blood, his beloved daughter Scout, is the one meticulously building a criminal case against him, his reaction is going to be nothing short of terrifying. The warm paternal love is instantly gone, replaced by a cold, calculating, and murderous need for self-preservation. Drew and Willow quickly realize that Scout has gathered enough hard evidence to put them both away in a dark cell for the rest of their natural lives. They cannot, under any circumstances, allow her to reach the police station. They cannot allow her to speak to Anna or Harrison. They decide, in a moment of pure evil, that they have to intercept her, silence her, and confiscate the damning evidence by any means necessary. They set a brutal, inescapable trap for the teenager, cornering her just as she is preparing to make her daring midnight escape to the authorities. The tension is going to be absolutely suffocating as Scout realizes she has been caught by the two most dangerous, unhinged people in her life. But that's not even the craziest part. This brings us to the absolute climax of this tragic, blood-soaked saga, a sequence of events that will leave you staring at your television screens in pure, unadulterated shock. Scout, clutching the flash drive and the physical documents that prove their absolute guilt, makes a desperate, adrenaline-fueled run for it. A terrifying, heart-stopping chase ensues through the dark, winding, fog-covered properties of the estate. Scout is running for her literal life, her heart pounding out of her chest, knowing that the man ruthlessly chasing her is the father who is supposed to protect her from the monsters. She is pushed to the absolute psychological brink, her mind racing with blinding fear. Drew and Willow finally corner a weeping, exhausted Scout in an isolated, highly dangerous location, perhaps the very edge of the boathouse or the steep, rocky cliffs overlooking the dark harbor. There is nowhere left to run, the water is crashing below, and the villains are closing in. Drew demands the evidence, his eyes dark, empty, and completely devoid of the fatherly warmth Scout once knew and cherished. Willow stands right beside him, her fake saintly mask completely ripped away, revealing the desperate, vicious, and feral woman underneath. They advance on Scout, their violent intentions crystal clear. They are not going to let her leave breathing. Scout is trapped, terrified, and fighting for her very survival. In a split second of pure, blinding panic and desperate self-defense, Scout is forced to act. She pulls out a heavy weapon she had secretly brought along for protection, perhaps a heavy metal object, a loaded flare gun, or a sharp piece of the boathouse equipment. She never, ever intended to use it to kill. She only wanted to scare them, to create a brief opening to escape into the night. But in the chaotic, violent, and screaming struggle that follows, a catastrophic accident occurs. The weapon discharges, or a violent, desperate shove sends them tumbling over the edge. In the blink of an eye, the unthinkable, jaw-dropping tragedy happens. Both Drew and Willow are struck down, their lives ending instantly in a pool of blood and shattered ambitions. Scout stands there in the freezing cold, trembling uncontrollably, looking down at the lifeless, broken bodies of her father and Willow. She has committed the ultimate sin, not out of malice, but out of a desperate, primal need to survive and protect the town from their evil grasp. She didn't want this. She just wanted her dad back. But instead, she has become the tragic catalyst for the most devastating, earth-shattering tragedy the town has seen in years. The bodies are cold, the evidence is scattered on the bloody ground, and Scout's innocence is gone forever. She has single-handedly wiped out two of the show's biggest, most manipulative villains, changing the trajectory of her family and the entire canvas of the show forever. As the police sirens begin to wail in the far distance, echoing mournfully through the cold night air, Scout falls to her knees, her hands covered in the tragic, bloody consequences of her bravery. She has saved the town, but she has completely damned herself in the process. Will Anna and the detectives believe that this horrific double homicide was truly an act of self-defense? Will Michael and the rest of the family ever forgive her for taking Willow's life, even if Willow was a manipulative monster? And as a dark, mysterious figure emerges from the shadows to witness the bloody aftermath, we have to ask ourselves, is Scout going straight to prison, or is someone else about to take the fall for the most shocking crime of the decade? You won't want to miss a single second of this fallout, guys, because nothing will ever be the same again.